God Pharaoh statue. Let's get that down. Emrakul. We'll take all your creatures, please. Yeah. There we go. There's the scoop. I knew we couldn't finish it out. The #1 commander on MTG Arena in Brawl is Ugin, Eye of Storms. But the challenge with Ugin is, will anybody bother to play you? And with this list, which I have actually spent about a week tuning to be maximum power, the question is, can I get anybody to play me so we can see it? Let's find out. Welcome to the Attic. Manadad here. It's the channel where we explore what's fun in Magic, mostly on Arena, and what's fun, colorless commanders, including Ugin, Eye of Storms. This list is almost completely Commander EDH legal. A couple exceptions, which we'll get into. It's also ridiculously powerful. We have a number of ways to build Ugin, and I believe this is the most powerful one. When I was testing it at first, I was winning a lot with it, and then I would change in cards and make adjustments and sometimes face mirror matches and see some ideas from opponents and get some ideas, and I've really been tweaking it. And then at a certain point, I started playing it. I've been playing it on my phone, and I'd sit down and I'd try to play it, and everybody just would scoop. Now, not necessarily instant scoop. They might play a couple turns, but once this deck gets rolling, they just scoop. So our challenge today is not necessarily to win, but to see if we can get an opponent, find an opponent who will actually play the game to the end. That's what we're trying to find out today. All right, let's take a look at the super high-powered Ugin, and I'll talk about some of the choices that I made. Now, I guess we got to talk about Ugin. If you don't know, this is from the new Tarkir Dragonstorm. It's a mythic. 7 mana, 7 loyalty planeswalker with the static ability. When you cast this spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colors. Okay, not great in the mirror match. And whenever you cast a colorless spell, exile up to 1 target permanent that's 1 or more colors. And it's going to be easy to cast a colorless spell because the 0 is add 3 colorless. So all you have to do is have in this deck one of your spells that's 3 or less mana, and you're going to be able to follow up. So you're going to be able to remove 2 things the moment. Do the 2 like that. Sorry, British viewers. two things, and we'll do 2. You can remove 2 things the turn it comes down. You can also plus it, gain 3 life, and draw a card. So that also makes it hard to remove you the turn it comes down. And then once you get it to 11, you can search your library for a number of colorless non-land cards, exile them, then shuffle. Until end of turn, you may cast those cards without paying their mana cost. Now, that may seem like magical Christmas land, but there actually is a way to do that very easily in this deck, which I will show you. But before we get there, we got we're going to talk about what is in the deck. So Ugin comes down, you can plus, and then if you have a 0 casting cost spell, like a Tormod's Crypt, then you can immediately just follow it up and trigger the thing. Also, you could trigger this more than once in a turn. So not going really heavy on the 0s. Marketback Walker, Hangerback Walker, and Astral Cornucopia are honorary 0s because you can cast them for X equals 0. They just go to the graveyard. Well, actually, in the case of Astral Cornucopia, it would just sit out there and do nothing. But in case of Marketback and Hangerback, they would just go to the graveyard. Tormod's Crypt is an actual real useful 0. Exiling graveyard, especially against certain decks, is very useful. We got Expedition Map and Wayfarer's Bauble. No Elemental Blast. So when you're playing colorless, on Arena especially, your points of interaction are very limited. There's not a ton of colorless interactive things, but one of them that you've got is a No Elemental Blast, which can be counter your opponent's. I mean, many of the commanders are multicolored spells, so counter your opponent's commander for 1 mana, which is always great, as we know from Wash Away. Otherwise, we're just going to be ramping like crazy because we want to get Ugin out as soon as possible. So all the 2 mana ramp spells that we can fit in here: Automated Artificer, Cold Steel Heart, Guardian Idol, Mind Stone, Ornithopter of Paradise, Solar Transformer, Iron Crag. Those are those. We've also got a little bit of card draw. this is more about card draw, hand filtering, and the gain 4 life is something that we actually care about in this deck, because remember, we're just trying to survive till we get out Ugin, and then we pretty much win. We can get It That Heralds the End is also honorary ramp, because colorless spells we cast with mana value 7 or greater cost 1 less to cast. Well, that includes our commander. And what else we got? Oh, yeah, Mere Convert. I think I skipped over that, but that's also 2 mana ramp. Treasure Map, I guess technically could be 2 mana ramp if you're just scrying and making treasures with it. Eventually you'll get there. Otherwise, it's just card filtering for us, and a cheap thing to follow up with Ugin. Thran Spider, this is ramp because it's going to give us a Power Stone token. Foundry Inspector is going to make all our artifact spells cost 1 less to cast. Unfortunately, Ugin is not an artifact spell. But as you can see, we got a ton of artifacts in here. Glaring Fleshraker is going to make spawn tokens whenever we cast a colorless spell. This is another way we can just really pop off ramp-wise. Hierophant's Chalice. Normally you wouldn't play these 3 mana rocks, but in this deck we've got that. We've got Letter of Acceptance, Mana Geode, Network Terminal. My throat's getting scratchy. Pardon me. Talk amongst yourselves. Leave a comment of your favorite Eldrazi in this deck. All right. Palladium Mirror can ramp for 2. Vial of Galadriel. Pristine Talisman. It taps in, gains life, which is nice, which is the reason we're not running every 3 mana rock. There actually are more than this, but we're running a lot of them. Semblance Anvil, again, we can imprint an artifact, or even better, we can imprint an artifact creature, and then all of a sudden a bunch of our stuff gets a big discount. Skyclave Relic, which is a kicker ramp spell. Celestis, you know this from Control, is very good. Helps filter your cards in addition to ramping. Unstable Obelisk gives us a little bit of removal, so don't sleep on this as interaction. I know it's a lot. 7 and tap, destroy target permanent. 7 tap, sacrifice, destroy target permanent, but it's on the table. And Worn Power Stone is the MVP of the 3 mana slot here, tapping for 2. We of course got 1 ring, Mystic Forge, Rune Carved Obelisk, Solemn Simulacrum, and Thought-Knot Seer. Forsaken Monument, this is an all-star here. I know it is 5 mana, but that's no trouble for our deck to get to that. And then whenever we're tapping a permanent for colorless, we're getting double. We're adding an additional, and we're gaining life. So that's ridiculous. Gilded Lotus also pretty good, but the main thing is when we get all these rocks out, if we can get Paradox Engine, we're going to be in business, because then they're all untap. We can play a bunch of stuff again. Maybe we have Mystic Forge, and we can play stuff off the top of our library and just really go to town. 5 mana. This is bad interaction, but 5 mana, exile something is worth considering. We've got it. It's they're going to get to draw a card off of it, so it is 2 for 1ing ourselves, but sometimes opponent has something you just got to get rid of. Mightstone and Weakstone can also remove almost everything with the -5/-5, and then it stays out and taps for 2, but that can only be spent to cast non-artifact spells. Wandering Archaic. This is another one that I don't think a lot of people are using, but they're probably sleeping on this because, again, maybe opponent, we can use our opponent's interaction against us. Essentially, they're going to have to pay Ward 2, or they're going to have to give us a copy of their interaction. So that's pretty good. We got Shamil for great value, and then we get to Contagion Engine. So this seems like interaction. We're going to just, put a bunch of minus counters on our opponent's stuff and proliferate. But if we've got Ugin out, proliferate twice. So we bring Ugin down. We plus. So Ugin goes up to 9. Then at some point we proliferate twice, either that turn or the next turn. Then Ugin is at 11 and can -11. So just 1 turn with the Contagion Engine out and Ugin, and we've got Ugin to the ultimate. So that's the secret to the Ugin ultimate. God Pharaoh's Statue. This is another one people have slept on. Just 6 mana. All your opponent's spells cost 2 more. People will pretty much scoop to this. You have to be careful playing this if you actually want to play the game. Immortal Sun is a little bit of a weird one because it shuts down Ugin's loyalty abilities. But of course, Ugin is still really valuable for the removal abilities. Pardon my sneeze. So Immortal Sun is not as much of a non-bow as it might initially seem. We've also got what now has to be called Baby Ugin. 6 mana Ugin. Colorless spells cost 2 less to cast. And we can make 2/2 colorless spirit creature tokens. It's actually one of our win conditions, the spirit creature tokens. Devourer of Destinies. This one, when you use it in your opening hand, that also draws scoops, apparently. Pretty crazy. The brand new Eldrazi, well, not brand new, I guess, at this point, but relatively new Eldrazi from Foundation, Sire of 7 Deaths. First strike, Vigilance, Menace, Trample, Reach, Lifelink, Ward, pay 7 life, 7/7. Just a ridiculous thing to deal with. Breaker of Creation. This is just an uncommon 8/4 hexproof from each color. Annihilator 2, and it's going to gain you a bunch of life when you play it. So it's got a great one to stabilize behind. Kozilek the Great Distortion. It's going to refill your hand. It's going to let you discard cards to counter spells. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. This is a classic 10/10 indestructible. Comes down, exiles 2 things, and then starts eating your opponent's library. Ulamog the Defiler, another one relatively recent from Modern Horizons 3, 7/7. When you cast it, target opponent exiles the top half of their library. So combine that with the other Ulamog. Ward sacrifice 2 permanents, so there's no way they're not 3 for 1ing themselves to get rid of it. And it enters with a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the greatest mana value among cards in exile. It has Annihilator X, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on it. Just simply ridiculous. If any of these land and opponent doesn't scoop, it's going to be awesome. Finally, we'll go through some of the lands, but finally in this slot, Emrakul, the World Anew, 12 mana, 12/12. When you cast a spell, gain control of all creatures target player controls, and then a bunch of other stuff. Mana base is really fascinating. That makes Power Stone tokens. We have ways to draw. We have ways to tap for extra mana. Blast Zone is actually interaction, which is short in this deck, as you can see. Nexus can become a creature. This is a way to draw. Buried Ruin can return stuff from the graveyard. Cavern of Souls to help your Eldrazi, keep your Eldrazi from getting countered. Surveil lands. Crawling Barrens can get really big with all that extra mana that we have. Crystal Grotto, Darksteel Citadel is just indestructible. Demolition Field to mess with your opponent's lands. And you were thinking, okay, but then you get to get a basic land. Well, guess what? We do have 4 wastes. 4 wastes. And we're actually pretty heavy on lands. Mirrex. Inventor's Fair is nice to go find an artifact card. Mutavault, Radiant Fountain, gain us some life. Rogue's Passage to make stuff unblockable. Just all great utility lands that we get to run because we don't care about it being colorless. In fact, it's better if it's colorless. Tomb of the Spirit Dragon, gain a life for each colorless creature we control. Treasure Vault, can sacrifice into treasures. I don't know why that's in there. Maybe there's one improvement. Remove Treasure Vault and replace it with something else. Ugin's Labyrinth, this is another one. This is in my opinion a must-have, because then you get to oftentimes play it and it becomes an ancient tomb that doesn't hurt you. It's taps for 2. Although it does cost you a card. Pretty nice. Or maybe it doesn't cost you a card because you can tap and return the exiled card to your hand at some point. Urza's Cave. Can search up any one of these lands if you need them. Zalfrin Void is a scry land. So really, really nice tuned list. Deck list will be in the description. Stick around to the end of the video. We'll talk even more about what we learned with this deck. I hope you enjoy it. I hope we get to actually play some games and it's not just a scoop compilation, but if it is, I guess, you've learned something too. If you've learned that if you have your 15 games you want to get in a day, maybe this is the deck to get it very quickly. All right, enough of my yammering. Let's see Ugin Eye of Storms in action.
Hey, it's me, Overlord of the Hauntwoods. Actually, haunting and overlording are just my hobbies. My day job is managing the YouTube algorithm. I try to make sure lots of negative, conspiracy-laden clickbait shows up in your feed. Nightmare fuel. Whatever you do, don't like, comment, or elder gods forbid, subscribe to a channel like this one, okay? We don't need your feed filled up with people who genuinely enjoy playing Magic like this so-called Manadad. He puts deck lists and other useful links in the description. He even shows real win rate stats at the end of the videos. Yikes. Clicking on positive, helpful videos takes away from the time I could be spending haunting woods or putting my friend Writhing Chrysalis into draft boosters. But you don't have to take it from me. 9 out of 10 players who want to unban grief agree. Now let's see. What is your racist uncle clicking on today? He has impeccable taste. Let me send some of those videos your way.
Up against Bob Hoskins. The Bob Hoskins? So we'll never know. Snap keep. I'm afraid of no 3-mana rocks. We're good on lands for the moment, though. Last turn now. Buried Archway. Okay. Well. Yeah, I guess we'll just bounce back. Last turn. Ashaton. Oh, fancy Ledger Shredder. Mr. Fancy Ledger Shredder over there. Another Wastes. Let's just, I think we're going to be good on lands for a bit. Pass the turn. Let's get this Astral Cornucopia. We can play that on 6, so... Next turn we're going to have 5, 6 mana. We could Astral Cornucopia 2. Hope they don't snowball too hard here. Ooh, they're going to Thoughtseize us. And they go Conniving. Take out Mystic Forge. Boo! And a Demolition Field. That could be useful. Oh, I guess, but we've already seen this land, so let's do... Can't quite double spell there. Ooh, Scrap Compactor, that's gonna make things real easy. Ugin? Blow up a Yo Commander? They can counter the Ugin. Yeah, but here's the thing. You can't stop the... Oh, did they Tails end the activated ability? Okay. Alright, give him a nice for that. Commander back to the command zone, though. It's coming next turn. Uh-oh. They're activating their Conniving. Take 5. Faithful Mending in the graveyard. Alright, let's put this on the stack again. Maybe we should blow up Ledger Shredder.
Mine is the power of eons.
Ruffian, Scheming Seer. No Conniving. Take 5, we're down to 10. The Wayfarer's Bubble's nice. If the Ugin actually sticks here. I think I will cast the Thran Spider, though. Well, I could Mana Geode. Well, I actually... Yeah, no, let's Thran Spider. I think it just gets warded. We have a blocker. Tainted Indulgence. Tainted Indulgence. Ooh. And a scoop. That's comedy. And we just got a quest completed. Turbo mana. Pay 6 or more mana for a spell while you have 3 or fewer lands in play. There you go. That's the kind of quest you can complete with this deck. Ugin, High of the Storms. Up against Giada. Well, Giada's pretty low to the ground. Ooh, we got our Devourer of Destiny. What do we want on top? Probably just a land. Do we want this bounce land? The question. Probably not, because I think we're going to want to null Elemental Blast. Oh, no, we can't null Elemental Blast Giada. That's a useless card. All right, yeah, let's take the Arid Archway. Cool. Play that. We don't need to scry it though, because we should have played something other than the scry land, but it's alright. Solar Transformer, we will keep that on top. Play the treasure map. There's Giada. Alright, so let's play the Transformer. Bounce. Goes to Surveil land. We get Ugin's Labyrinth on top, which combos nicely with Devourer of Destiny. Okay, so we're gonna have our 2 double colorless lands. Let's hope this is not a mass land removal Giada deck. And a Herald's Horn. Okay, perfect. Fewer things they get into play, the better. And Ugin's Labyrinth. Let's just put the Devourer of Destiny, or should we do Ulamog instead? Because we might actually cast this, right? I mean, we might cast Ulamog too at the rate we're going. Scry. Oh yeah, more ramp. Don't mind if we do. Pass the turn. We got a Faceless Agent. Well, that we don't blow up, so that's a little bit harder. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. Ugin coming down next turn. We can, if they play one more permanent with the color. Heliod's Intervention. Okay. One came equipped. Now. Have to wait. Oh, Chameel. That's pretty cool. Play an Ornithopter of Paradise. Over to you, Giada. And they managed to flip an Angel with Youthful Valkyrie. This is a good one in their deck. And Bishop of Wings. Okay. We're just up against the Pioneer Angels deck. I think because we can't... Jeez. Activated abilities of creatures your opponent's control can't be activated? Well, we can still cast Devourer of Destiny. Blow up Limbala. Thank you very much. No attacks. Faceless Agent. Goes and finds something. Inspiring Overseer. And attacks for 7, no blocks, so go to 12. Getting dicey here, Ugin. Gear Reach Sanitarium. Blow up Valkyrie, I guess. Let's draw a card. Hey, okay, we get to blow up one more thing. Guess we'll make it the Overseer. And now we're on Easy Street. Champions of Tyre. 6/5. Oh yeah, they do get to fly at Ugin, so that's not cool. Ouch. And a Sarah the Benevolent. Oh, okay. Comes down, makes an angel. Ooh, Arch of Arask is not great. Draw a card. Let's hope we can draw some cheap stuff to cast. Well, not exactly cheap. I guess we want to minus as much of their board as we can.
Belongs to the patient.
And should we proliferate twice, I suppose? Including our Ugin. They got a spirit. Sarah Emissary. So they can give protection from planeswalkers. That's bad. They got to decide whether they want to cast that or Giada, right? They can't cast both. Resplendent Marshal. Comes in with a bunch of life. Holy moly. Alright, everything has protection from planeswalkers. So Ugin doesn't die here. Could just chump block with his Ornithopter. Because then if I Contagion Engine, we can still do the ultimate. Yeah, let's do that. So 1 damage to what? You? I don't know. There, the Benevolence, the one thing we can remove. Alright, let's see if the ultimate saves us. Commit 3. And then alt. Take action. Get every card in my library. I mean, is there any reason not to just take, like, everything? Leave back some of the less. Opponent is not scooping. Got to give it up for opponent here. Guess we should take a bunch of creatures. There's all these destroy abilities. Palladium Mirror. Mystic Forge. Alright. That's enough. I'll use up my whole turn. Start casting stuff. Where's the stuff that gains us life? God Pharaoh statue. Let's get that down. Emrakul. We'll take all your creatures, please. Yeah. There we go. There's the scoop! I knew we couldn't finish it out. Ugin, Eye of Storms. Up against Frodo, Sauron's Bane. We got the Bauble. Got the Talisman. Opponent is going first, but we got Devourer of Destiny, so we can... edit the top of our deck here. Commit. This one's tricky, right? Because if they get it up to the right level, we just get one hit and we lose the game. But we got to ramp fast. Cold Steel Heart is ramp. Would we take that over a land? We're just at 2 lands and 3. This is kind of ramp too. It might block Frodo. No, it doesn't block Frodo once it's tempted. Tough decision. I'm gonna go with Cold Steel Heart and hope we draw. We hope we don't get stuck on lands. Probably a bit risky. Oh, we got Archway. Didn't realize that was one of our lands. Definitely have left an untapped land on top. We could have played the Heart, and we could next turn Archway. Bye, Frodo. Yeah. Well, we just gotta bounce this. Next turn we can Mind Stone into Cold Steel Heart, right? Nazgul, uh-oh. Ring is tempting. Just level 1 still? There's 1 turn away from the land. We'll scare them the most. White. Right, we have 5 mana. Gonna be 6, 7, but not. Still 1 more turn here. Okay, power up Frodo. All in on Mr. Frodo. I wonder if we just Sire of 7 Deaths. They're at level. See, this is the case where we could just annihilate Frodo and slow him way down. Maybe that's what we do. If we do that, that leaves us just 1 mana. If we do this... Alright, here's the use case for Introduction to Annihilation. Slow him down a couple turns. See how committed they are to Lord of the Rings. Yeah, all Lord of the Rings lands here. I actually have a paper version of this deck that uses only cards that are Lord of the Rings flavored. It was meant to just be kind of fun, but if people don't respect Frodo, Frodo is actually quite dangerous. Frodo can be quite lethal. 1 hit kill. Probably even more powerful in 1v1 Brawl. Morbid Opportunist. Alright. Handful of Eldrazi. Look at this. Yeah, get a waste. Put it to play tapped. Pass the turn. Next turn we're going to have our choice. What do you think? Can we get up to 12 mana? The deck list I started out with had a lot more of these big Eldrazi's, but I don't think you need them. It's just highlighting that because of the Mindstone. All right, so we do this. We can cast something that costs 4 mana. Not that great. We may as well just play Devourer of Destiny, right? And exile the Morbid Opportunist. What we should have done is do the Mightstone, because that would have ramped us. They got a removal spell. Okay, we're actually down to 12. Lifelink. Seven. Paradox Engine. If I tap, I play this and Paradox Engine. Blow up. Are we in danger of dying to Frodo? I guess we are, right? We have to hit Frodo first. Let's make some mana. Oh, we don't have enough? For one short? Gonna undo? Oops. I think we're just dead. I think Frodo got us. Total punt.
From the end zone, he punts it. Oh my goodness, this could be the longest punt in Super Bowl history.
I don't think I've been that excited for a punt. What a punt.
They're just gonna get us with damage. Good game. Should have played the Mightstone and Weakstone. I guess they really had us once they had the slip on the ring. That was the sneaky trick that was needed, and they had it. We've had some decent games, but I'm still hunting for that non-scoop win. Will it be against Nicol Bolas, the Ravager? That is a tough commander. Looking forward to Null Elemental blasting it. Probably should have shipped that hand back and gotten one that had some ramp in it. It's going to be a long way to 7. And Bonder's Enclave. Yeah, sure. Opponent will not be expecting the colorless counterspell. Guaranteed. And Chamil would be good too. Okay, we're getting Unstable Obelisk. We do get to ramp a little bit. With Mystic Forge. Can't play that, so pass the turn. We'll keep the Semblance Anvil. Don't really have anything good to put it on, but Oop. Playable passage. We got Bolas coming down. You're in the clear, opponent. Just one untapped land. Colorless. If it's pausing, it's just because of Mystic Forge. Don't worry about it. No big deal. Boom! Eat it, Bolas. And then, I think we'll get Jamil. Now we can't... now our stuff can't be countered. We get a free Thought-Knot Seer. Ooh, okay. Fell, destroy target creature. Destroy target creature. If you control an artifact, deals 3 damage. Beginning of your end step, target opponent may sacrifice. If they don't, you draw 2 cards. Yeah, well, not really worried about them destroying a creature. Huh? And expressively iterates. Bloodstained Mire. We have a land on top. Well, we could Semblance Anvil. Let's just get the land off the top, I guess. See what we find. It's another land. Okay. Well, do we Semblance Anvil the Mind Stone, or we just cast the Mind Stone? They're pretty well tapped out. We could Semblance Anvil the Sire, and then all our creature spells would be cheaper, but that's not that exciting. We'll just hold back the Semblance Anvil. Jamil should flip something over for us. Then you crack a Bloodstained Mire. They should be able to get Bolas down. They've got lands in hand. End the turn. Jamil flips over Vial of Galadriel. The next turn we can Semblance the Palladium Mirror. Or we can just cast Ugin. Let's see. Are they going to try to bring down Bolas? Oh, they bring down a different Bolas. Okay, they draw. We're going to have to exile something. Should we exile... oh, the Sire. We don't need that.
Martyred you eons ago.
Ugin's all we need. Adios, Bolas.
I will return preparation.
Let's add some colorless. Cast Boundary Inspector. Then we can actually cast Boombox.
Power belongs to the patient.
And we can leave Iron Crag on top to be found by Jamil. Opponent's thinking about scooping. Don't do it yet, opponent. We want to actually win. We want this game to go to the end.
My resources are yours.
Chemist's Insight. One is digging for answers. Alright, so if they're gonna braid Shamil. That's unfortunate. We got the Soulstone Sanctuary. Let's gain some life, draw a card. And I think we'll just Semblance Anvil with Palladium Mirror. Smack you for 3. And pass a turn. Guess, well, maybe we should have used a life to put conduit pylons on the bottom and see if there's anything else we could play. Virtue of Persistence. They go back to 21. Two turns away from ultimate, though. What you gonna do, opponent? Virtue of Persistence. Any creatures they could bring back? Just mine, right? Opponent thinking hard.
You know what a hurry we're in!
Salty didn't like it much.
I don't suppose you've got to split things up.
Salty?
Do it! Salty.
What do we think?
I am only waiting around to kill you.
This is gain control of all creatures that opponent controls. Flying, protection from spells. I mean, they're just going to counterspell it, right? Let's just... Hate to do it, but let's lose Emrakul. Actually, we could have lost it with conduit pylons. Desert. Rune carved obelisk. Only there was a way to make their lands colored permanents. Is there a way to do that on Arena? A Jinx Choker or whatever it is. Mixed up artifacts. So this is the one alchemy card. Well, I think there's 2 in the deck now. Let's pay 3, draw a card. Oh man, just keep hitting lands. Alright. Can remove this land, but that's okay. Get another piece of removal out of their hand. Opponent opts. Field of Ruin. Chemist's Insight. Alright, they're happy to take the damage. Land becomes a copy of target non-token artifact you control with mana value X. What's my most valuable artifact? Let's copy the Mystic. Burn down the house. 5 damage to each creature and each planeswalker. Okay. Let's tap this for colorless. What happens? Fortunately, Ugin going down is not great. Let's make this land a copy of Mystic Forge. Okay. Karaxa. Wastes. My turn. What do we got? Oh, we got this Ugin. Let's exile the top card of the library. And, ooh, key of the archive. Don't mind if I do. What do we find? Counterspell should be good. Discard demo field. Mana Geode. Storming off here. Field of Lotus, you can stay on top. We'll cast that as well. And, now we're stuck with the land on top, so let's tap. Where's our Mystic Archives? Did we tap our... Where are they? Mystic Forge, I mean. Activate that. We get an Ulamog the Defiler. Cast that. Lose half your library, opponent, if you wouldn't mind. Have the Iron Crag? Nah. And another Mystic Forge tap. All the way down. Oh, one ring. This costs 0. Thanks, Ugin. Treasure map. Free treasure map, sure. Forsaken Monument, sure. Got to tap mana for that. Celestis for free. We going off here. Opponent being a good sport. I don't know if they'll let us finish out the game, but Mirex, and I think that is the turn. And we just counterspell their commander. Bob's our uncle here. We have to sacrifice 2 permanents to get rid of this, because it is Annihilator 12. So, wow, should we just counterspell this? They'll definitely scoop if we counterspell this. We're trying to figure out which permanents to sacrifice. Yeah, just sacrifice your basic lands. Resolves. Bye-bye. And then counterspell. They probably have a counter for the counter. They do. Alright. That was a nice. Still cost them 2 lands. And one of their counterspells. Shivan Fire. Have to kick it. We get the card into our hand. My turn. One ring. Did we forget to even activate the one ring? Where is the one ring? Chameleon's saucy ring. Breaker of Creation. Hexproof from each color. Annihilator 2. Go up to 55 life. Thran Spider, why not? Okay, this is where treasure map gets useful. Where'd it go? Come back here, treasure map. All the way back to the beginning? No, where's treasure map? There we go. Scry that. Scry that land to the bottom. See what else we can cast. The glaring flesh raker? The fresh maker? Yeah, okay, they scooped. They scooped it. Finally. And we completed yet another quest. That last game. Assembled the Titans. Cast 9 or more legendary spells in one game. Got there. Okay, so how'd we do? 100% on the play, 0% on the draw. So Ugin, we did run up against some of the more difficult decks here, but maybe this said that maybe that win rate, because it's 100% of the play, 0% of the draw, maybe that says a little bit more about the state of Magic design and Brawl in general, right? You know, when you're on the play, you win. When you're on the draw, you lose. It's just all about the coin flip. So lost to Frodo and lost to Giada. And what was the red and green one? Oh, the Roxanne. So those were the ones that beat this deck. Null Elemental Blast was hilarious against Bolas. Hope you stuck around and saw that. Otherwise, yeah, I put in Perilous Vault to have a board wipe, which I think is a decent decision. Maybe if you're going fully optimized, you don't need it. You probably put in just more low to the ground stuff. This deck will only get better as they print more, you know, low to the ground colorless things like Maze Mind Tome. Iron Crag is a big one. So yeah, I think Treasure Map should be on the cutting board, even though we saw the Scry ability is really good once we get down, where is it? Mystic Forge. And I added Key to the Archive since I did the deck tech. That's another alchemy card, but that gives you a little, you can get interactive spells with that, so that's pretty good. And Rune Card Obelisk, I think, is the only other alchemy card. Otherwise, this deck list is Commander legal. Although, I guess, actually, is Ulamog, is that not allowed in Commander? Some of these, at least one of these Eldrazi is banned in Commander. You should definitely do a little bit of research. I can never keep the Commander ban list straight. And who knows? It may be changing very soon. Other than that, yeah, we didn't really get to use It That Heralds the End. Kozilek's Command is another interactive thing I didn't really feature in the deck tech, but being able to either make a bunch of spawn, or scry a bunch and draw a card, so dig really deep in your deck, or exile a creature, or exile cards from graveyard. Just kind of does it all. Very useful spell in the colorless decks. I put in Scrap Compactor and Boombox as a little more interaction also. Since I did the deck tech. So that is the deck. I hope you enjoyed the gameplay. I've been Manadad, reminding you Magic is a game so fun, even dads can enjoy it. Adios.